Chapter 10. Twilight filled the streets of Yorktown. Olivia parked her car in the public lot and walked to the Ballard house. Electric candle flames danced merrily above evergreen boughs in the windows she passed. Docents, dressed for the festivities, passed her cheerily, calling for a Merry Christmas. She could barely breathe around her broken heart. He was gone. She tapped her phone to see his face. "And just what are you thankful for?" The echo of her mother's voice called her back to the street. "I'm thankful to be here on the street in my new dress. I'm thankful Grams is waiting for me at home. I'm thankful we had one dance before he went away. I'm thankful I have his song. 'Tis a gift, just for thee." Tears misted her vision. Garrett looped his arm through hers, steering her clear of the curb. "I thought you were supposed to glide along in a dress like that. I thought you were in Williamsburg tonight. Got switched. Lucky for me. My thoughts exactly." "Listen, Garrett, I wanted to talk to you about Max." "Nothing to talk about. Grams is satisfied that he really cares about you, so I'm good." "You're not." He stopped to face her, a grin lighting his face. "I love you like my own sister, you know. If my sister was still talking to me and wasn't married to someone completely capable of taking care of her, even still." He scratched his chest. "Anyway, as your brother, it's my job to make sure you don't get hurt." She linked her arms once more with his. "Thanks. I do have one or two questions about this situation, though." "What situation?" "The situation that he is from 1769? Olivia's breath caught. "Grams." "I didn't give her much of a choice." Anger stiffened her gait. Olivia pulled her arm from his. "I would have found out anyway. All that talk about curses and other stuff that just didn't add up." The fight deflated before she could think of anything more to say. "He's gone." "Do you think he'll come back?" "I want to believe he will, but it may have already been too long." A docent opened the door of the Ballard house when they arrived. Olivia passed through the parlor to the bedroom beyond. She hung her cloak on a peg on a far wall. She silenced her phone, placed it in her basket, and set the basket on the floor under her cloak. The room would be off limits to guests, so she had no concerns for its security. In the parlor, she placed her music on the piano and ran through some scales to warm up and calm her mind. It wouldn't do to weep during a performance. Before long, guests began to filter in. Olivia played Max's tune. Longing filled her heart as she saw them on that bench, hand in hand. At 7, she rose and introduced herself and the music she would be playing. At 8, she did so again. Garrett, standing behind their guests, waved a quick goodbye. By 9 o'clock, her smile had worn new creases in her face. Guests drifted back out into the street. The docent manning the door had taken his leave when she agreed to lock up. She blew out the candles in the dining room, leaving the electric window decorations to illuminate the room. She leaned against the window overlooking the street. Docents with lanterns and guests meandered past towards Main Street. The house was quiet, the way a modern house could never be, with its whir of mechanical devices constantly working in the background. The wisps of unchained melody reached her ears so faintly, Olivia wasn't sure it wasn't a memory of the one dance she had shared with Max. Someone must be playing their phone outside. She closed her eyes to feel his arms once more as they swayed to the song. "Are ye still mine, Olivia?" Eyes snapped open. Max stood in the doorway of the parlor, holding her phone and wearing that boyish smile that sent her heart tumbling. "Ye promised to get me one of these." "There's time." "Aye." Afterward. Thank you for reading. I hope you enjoyed Max. Those of you familiar with historic Yorktown, Virginia, will undoubtedly recognize my free use of the Ballard House on Nelson Street in historic Yorktown. Captain John Ballard and his wife Elizabeth had 4 sons and 2 daughters. None of them were called Maxwell, but since there were so many, I don't think adding in one more would hurt, especially since he slipped away in time after both his parents were gone. They did live for a time at the house we called the Ballard House. Captain John died in 1745, leaving the house to his widow, Elizabeth. She died in 1756. Their son, John, sold the house and moved to Princess Anne County in 1761, long before the events of this novella. The house at that time was called Pearl Hall, and it was located on Pearl Street. The Ballard property on Lot 54 underwent many changes during the years. The dependencies are gone, and the inside no longer resembles its original configurations. But, as far as I can tell, there was no music conservatory attached to the house in any century. Its construction is entirely my own, suggested by the ballroom at the governor's mansion in nearby Williamsburg. Another note about the Revolutionary War Museum at Yorktown. At the time of this writing, when entering the museum, just past the gift shop, there is a display of daguerreotypes of men and one woman who participated in the War for Independence. Those images were taken in the 1850s. There is no J. Bass Jones. He is absolutely fictitious. Thanks again for listening to Max. If you liked Max, would you consider leaving a review at the retailer of your choice? And please visit me on the web. I'd love to hear what you think. Sign up for my newsletter to hear about new releases and other fun stuff. Website, izzyjamesauthor.com. Facebook, izzyjamesauthor. Instagram, @izzy.james. This has been Max, a Yorktown Christmas time travel novella. Copyright 2019 by Elizabeth C. Hull. Production copyright 2023 by Elizabeth C. Hull.